What's happening on this wonderful Saturday evening? Let me make sure my stuff is working here. Special edition tonight. Okay, here we go. Hope you guys. Oops, sorry, it's the camera. Hope you guys having a great weekend. For some of you, long weekend. Halfway through, we got one more day to go. I know Charlie is going to be on in a little while. I think I forgot to tell him that we are going to do it at 6, and not sure if he saw the post or not. So he will be on at some point. And tonight we got my daughter. Supposed to be my son and my daughter. My son chickened out. He's a shy guy, so it'll just be my daughter coming on a little bit to share her story. So this is an opportunity now, folks. If you know of anyone, uh, the millennial generation, or even if you know some adults that are concerned, that are concerned about the vaccine and about COVID, what happens if you get COVID. Um, Now is the time. Get them on the show. Get them on. Share this thing. As you know, we're on YouTube. We're on Facebook, Twitter. Just all you got to do is find Mel Raposo's page on either of those platforms. It's all under the same name, and get them to watch this. Get them to watch this. This is obviously will be unscripted. We're gonna hear it. My daughter, she's kind of nervous right now, but I'm sure once she gets on, she'll be fine. But as you know, most of you know, she's a COVID survivor. She had COVID for I guess almost the last 2 weeks. I'm gonna let her tell her story, and also to hear a little bit about Oregon. About they're right outside of Portland in Beaverton, and as you all know, it's pretty wide open up there. I think it has since changed now. They have the mask mandate back, but so we'll hear it from her firsthand. And it's a great opportunity again for children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, moms and dads, anybody that may be concerned or just want to learn or hear from someone that just is basically still recovering. I don't think anybody ever recovers from COVID. I think you survive COVID, and so only time will tell what the prognosis of Nikki will be, and she seems to be doing a whole lot better now, and you'll see it tonight. She's in very good spirits, starting to move around again. She got cleared out of quarantine a couple of days ago. So, as you know, Patsy, my wife, is up there with her. I'll be joining them later this week to spend a few days with them and then bring Patsy back. But yeah, I asked her if she would. She actually was thinking about coming on the show the night she found out that she had COVID, but the next day she was down, and there was no way we could get her on the show, and I would never do that to her. But this is a great opportunity to get a millennial's perspective. That millennial generation, totally different, hard to understand sometimes, hard to understand, but it's a whole lot of them, and we're just hoping that she can shed some light. Again, like Charlie always says, we will provide you the information. We'll provide you the information, and then you do what you want with it. We've already always said on this show that we respect people's choice, but we want you folks to make informed decisions based on the information that's out there. So I can see her on. I don't know if she can see. She can. I think she can hear us, but she can hear us, but she cannot see us. But I'm gonna bring her on right now. You're Nikki. I can see you, and you're shaking all over the place. I don't know if she can hear me, but here we go. Oh my God!
You're in the show.
Is that red hair part of COVID, or is that did you have that? Is that what?
This is
What the
actually
heck?
aftermath. I woke up and my hair was red. That was weird.
Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Nickey Rapozo, my daughter, my lovely daughter, and she's. I wish she could find something to put that phone on because I'm getting seasick.
I know. I'm trying to figure it out. on.
Oh my God, you had all day. You had all day. You see what I talk about the millennials? You see, in our generation, we would have had everything all set up already, but this millennials. Anyway, looking at her today, you would never guess that she had COVID. You would never guess that she had COVID. Just 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, about 2 weeks ago. Actually, tomorrow will be 2 weeks. So what I wanted her to do was more for informational purposes and just to share with people, our viewers out there. And again, if you have children, grandchildren, whatever, anybody that want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, have them come on. Have them come on and check it out. So anyway, Nikki, first
Or
of all, I wanna. This is Nikki, my daughter Nikki. She's 25 years old, and she moved to Oregon several years ago. Her brother had gone up there for school, decided to live up there. She went and checked it out and never came back. So she's living in Oregon in Beaverton. But I wanted to let you know, Nikki, that all of our viewers on right now and hundreds of people have put out prayer circles and said a lot of prayers. So now is a great opportunity for you to thank them for all their prayers because, again, the prayers work.
thank you, everyone. I didn't know that was happening, so
Yeah. Poor Nikki was not, Big Nikki was out of it. So, anyway, this is how we're going to do this. We're just going I wanted to share a little bit about Nikki before we get into the COVID. In Oregon, in Portland, in Beaverton, and where you guys live, at the time you got COVID, what was the conditions like? I know at one time, Portland's a pretty hot city. Oregon's a pretty hot state as far as COVID. But what was the conditions? Were there restrictions? Were there anything mask mandates or anything like that?
no. So everything was lifted. There was no mask mandate unless a specific establishment required it, but none did. So clubs were open, bars were open. Um, you didn't have to wear a mask really anywhere unless somewhere said that you had to wear a mask. Um, so yeah, everything was pretty much open, and
So and your job, this, of course, there's gonna be some proud papa moments tonight because I'm proud of this girl. She moved up there. Uh, she's a nail tech, and she's very successful at it. And now she recently, this is the unfortunate part, right? Right before COVID, she opened up her own space, so she has her own business now, and she's doing quite well. And unfortunately, had to shut down while she was in quarantine. And but how was the at your workplace? At your workplace now, you have hairdressers and you have or hairstylists and you have nail people. Were masks required in there?
no. Well, we didn't have we did up until the mask mandate was taken away. So we had everyone had to wear a mask. We did, and our clients did. And then once they lifted the mask mandate, then it was an option. So basically, whoever felt comfortable not wearing a mask didn't wear one. And then if you didn't care or you were vaccinated or you felt safe, then you didn't have to wear one. But I never wore one.
Because you were vaccinated, right?
No.
Oh, okay. So you were not vaccinated and you chose not to wear a mask.
Yes.
Okay. Well, see, we're going to put out some clues tonight. With my daughter's permission, I thank her for being so open and candid. She really wants to do this to help people. We had a discussion about this, and she really wanted to use this experience as a message for others. So my daughter was not vaccinated, and my son was supposed to tell his story. I'll say it real quick. He was not vaccinated either, and I try to encourage them, but as my wife and I finally said, we cannot push them. They're adults, and we're kind of scared for them. Well, my son decided to go to Vegas with his friend, who's an NFL player, one of the starters for one. I'm not going to mention any names, but they were good friends. So his NFL buddy decides to take him to Vegas to go watch the Conor McGregor fight in that arena with no masks, no vaccinations. Well, my son's friend caught COVID, the football player, ended up in the hospital. That was the first scare. And then not long after that, and I tell my son, "You got to get vaccinated." "Yeah, Dad, I'm going to get it done." "Yeah, Dad." And then he gets another exposure, very close contact, and he gets the call. He gets tested. He's negative again. But after the second scare, he decided to go get his vaccine. So he got his first shot. The day that he got his second shot is the day that Nikki got sick with COVID. And so my son is now vaccinated. He just recently, 2 weeks ago, had his second shot. So that's his story. He told me, and jokingly, when he told me he couldn't make it tonight, he said that he needed an hour all to himself. Yeah, right. That guy is shy. So anyway, I needed to get that out of the way. So I had two children up in Oregon, unvaccinated. One eventually got vaccinated. Now here we have Nikki, and I've been bugging Nikki. And there was a point, Nikki, that you told me you were actually thinking about getting the vaccine.
Yeah, it was the day that I tested positive for COVID,
But
actually.
even and this is important. I think you may have forgotten this, but I'm going to remind you. Remember when I spoke to you and you said, "Dad, I was seriously thinking about taking the vaccine, getting the vaccine," and then Oregon came out with all this gifts and lotteries and
Oh yeah.
remember remember that discussion that we had?
Yeah, that was like one of the few reasons on why I didn't want to get it.
I remember you telling me that, Dad, when they started to have to bribe people, I got turned off and I decided not to. So that was the first time, and I to be honest, I totally agree with you. To be honest, I don't like that at all. And they continued to do that. But anyway, so that was the early days. You said, "No, I was going to get it," but then they came up with all this pressure tactics and bribery. I said, "Forget it. Something doesn't feel right." You told me. Okay, so we fast forward now, and you're still not vaccinated, and you're going out, right?
Yeah.
You go out, and when you go out to the clubs with your friends, you guys wear masks.
Nope.
Now, at that time, the mask. I sound like an attorney in
I
court,
know.
but at that
I
time,
feel like we're in court right now.
yeah. Well, because when I know once I let you go, you're gonna take up all the time. So I just wanted to get my points in before we turn it over. So you go out to the clubs with your friends. Your friends are vaccinated though, but you're not, and you're not wearing a mask. Okay. All right. So now we get to the night that you got infected. Okay. Take it away.
Um so it was August 8th, I think. It was a Thursday night and I just hung out with someone and basically the story behind that was there was a COVID test that was taken and it was negative, and the person who I got infected by had symptoms but was told that it was from the vaccine. And so we had assumed that it was safe because there was a negative COVID test, as well as the doctor saying that it was just symptoms from the vaccine. And then that was it.
And
Um,
this was a group of you that had gone out on Thursday.
no,
Oh, okay.
I just hung out with one person. And then,
Okay.
um, so my symptoms started on Sunday, which was the day that I tested positive, as well as the person that I got it from. And throughout those days, the hi uncle,
How are you, sweetheart? How you feeling?
good now.
Good.
And so in the middle days that, so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday,
Oh, that's
I what
no, that's some background noise like wind.
is that me?
I don't know. No, it's probably Uncle Charlie. I bet it's his fan.
So in the middle days, Friday, Saturday, and on Sunday, I technically had the virus in me already, which means that I had openly exposed clients, friends. I went out all of those nights to establishments and didn't wear masks. Thankfully, everyone that I came in close contact with all tested negative, and I didn't pass it to them. But key is that just because you test negative doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have the virus, because obviously that was the situation and I still had it and got it, even though the COVID test came out negative, because it does take like 3 to 4 days before it can show up in your body, or you can get a positive test. And so there's a possibility that you or someone around you could potentially have it and still spread it without having an actual positive test. One little pointer. So on Sunday, I was at work, had a client, we weren't wearing masks, and then I get the text that says like, I just tested positive, X, Y, and Z. You should probably get tested. So I canceled the rest of my day and went straight to the urgent care, got tested. They told me that there was a chance that my test wouldn't come back positive because of the short amount of time in between the exposure. And so I took the rapid test, and 10 minutes later, they didn't even come out to me. They just called me on the phone and told me that it was positive and that I had to quarantine for 14 days, and then they sent me on my way. And then I called Melvin.
You called Melvin,
We all know
a,
how that phone call went.
aka Dad. On Sunday, you said that you had some symptoms. You had body aches, right?
So I woke up in the morning and felt like I got hit by a bus. But I went out the night before, and I had a headache. But I went out the night before, so I had just assumed that I just didn't have sleep and that I was tired from going out. And that's why I had a headache, because I went to like a club bar kind of
Now,
thing.
now you guys understand why I told you folks get your kids and grandkids on the show, because they need to hear this. You see, now you understand these millennials. Anyway, so Sunday you go to work, you're not feeling good, but you attribute it to a late night out and not enough sleep, and then you get the call,
Yeah.
and and, and then you call Melvin.
I said, don't get mad. But
I'm positive. And to be honest, you thought I wouldn't say you thought it was a joke, but you totally minimized it. Totally minimized it.
yeah.
Um, just hey, Dad, maybe I should go on your show. And remember having that
Oh,
discussion?
yeah. I said,
Oh,
oh, we
Dad,
could do, if I'm positive, we could do a special show.
yeah.
And then
And
they
then
like,
Monday morning,
so on Monday morning, I was dead. That's the easiest way to say it. I was dead. Sunday night, I had like a slight fever, but obviously I just knew why. But I was able to eat, and I had everything else. I just had like some body aches. And then on Monday morning, I woke up and I had a high fever, really bad body aches, like muscle pain or like bone pain. Like it's something that I don't think that I can explain, because of it was like so severe. Like, so there's body pain or body aches, like when you're sick and when you have a fever. And then there's bone pain, which is literally like your bones are on fire, like your joints. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a crazy feeling. So I was basically just down.
were you scared?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna die. Well, on the first day, I felt like, okay, it's coming. This is kind of what's happening. And I just slept all day, like 20 hours of 24 hours that are given in your day. I slept for like 20 of them. And then I just took ibuprofen, um, talked to my PCP, and she basically just told me the same thing. Is just to take ibuprofen, and if you have a hard time breathing, then to go to the emergency room. And then, so that happened, and then on the next day, everything just got worse. And my fever got higher, and I got weaker. At this point, I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, I couldn't stay awake, basically. So I just literally slept because I couldn't get up. I was super dehydrated. Um, and I believe it was on the second day or the third day that I had gotten up, I think, to get water. And I started getting cold sweats and I felt like I was going to pass out. And anyone that knows like my health history besides COVID knows that like that's a thing. So I freaked out and I had to get back in bed and just lay here. And like the walk from just my bed to the kitchen or to the bathroom um, completely like wiped me out to the point that I could not breathe. Um,
We
and
at this point we were concerned. It's so hard to be thousands of miles away and knowing that she was in basically in isolation, no one around there. My son, imagine my son on Sunday got his second shot, and he got really sick from the second shot, so he was also incapacitated at his house. And really, we have no one else up in
I
Oregon.
also
But
live
that
alone.
Nick,
Let me put that out there. I live by
you
myself.
what?
I live by myself.
Yeah, right. So there was just no one there. So I asked Nikki to ask her friend to get her an oxygen meter so she could monitor her oxygen. And she did that. And there were a couple of days that oxygen was quite low, and then it would get back up. And that was very scary because, again, she has had incidents in the past of passing out for whatever reason. And that was always a concern for ours. And I remember Tuesday when we called and we texted and we called and no one answered the phone because she was sleeping, and it was just crazy. But so you were monitoring your oxygen on a regular basis, and I would assume that you were afraid to even get up if you had the strength to get up to walk because you were afraid that you was going to get that kind of episode again.
Yeah. Yep. So I
And
basically didn't.
and then when was that on? When was it that I told you to call 911 or call you the doctor and they told you to call 911? Was that on a Wednesday?
That was on day 9
So
or day 8.
we had been monitoring her oxygen and her fever, her temperature constant, and I was calling pretty much all day, check your oxygen, check your temperature, check your oxygen, check your temperature. And she had told me that she had when she had that incident where she got the cold sweats, her oxygen had dropped really low, and I told her, hey, you guys call. I told her call the doctor, call the ER. And anyway, long story short, they called she had to call 911 and give us that experience because I think that experience. See, COVID is bad in and of itself. COVID is not a good thing, but the collateral crap that goes on when you get COVID. Charlie and I talked about that with remember our good friend the jail guard, all the collateral stuff that happens. But tell us what happened when you called 911.
So, well, there was 3 times that I called the emergency room to ask for the nurse's line. So I'll just put that out there because this wasn't the only time that I've called. Um, the first time that I called them, they were nice. It was probably I think it was day set 2 or 3 because I had just gotten the oxygen meter and I had checked my oxygen and it was 90. Um, but I got these long bad boy nails, and so that's what happened. But it was low, and I freaked out, and so I called them, and it took them a little while to call me back because the nurses basically like have to call you back, so you give all of your information and your what's happening, and then they call you back. So she called back. I told her my oxygen was low and it came back up and blah blah blah. And then she gave me just like little tips on what to do. Then a few days later, I called them again because I had another episode that I felt like I was gonna pass out because I got up, and the nurse was a little ruder that instant time. Anyways, and she basically told me to go and lock myself in the bathroom and do a steam something. So basically, I just had told her that I can't get up, and she told me, go lock yourself in the bathroom, turn your shower on high, and then sit there for 20 minutes. And so I didn't do that because I knew that I couldn't, like, that wasn't going to work. But basically, if you're unvaccinated, they're not nice. So she was just not nice. And she just basically was like, do this, and that's it. So I think it was day 8. So they claim that your symptoms are only from day 1 to day 4 or day 5, and then it starts to get better. But I literally had a fever up until day 7 or 8 or whatever it is. And on day 7 or day 8, I was super dehydrated. I was feeling okay, and then I hit a wall, and I called my dad, and I said, I don't know what to do. My fever's back. It's over 101, and I feel like I can't move, and I feel super dehydrated to the point that I can't return back to life. Because I had realized that because I slept for about 20 hours every day, that even though I was drinking water in between, I had a fever every day, which when you have a fever, you get more dehydrated. And so I would just lay in the bed, and I just realized that, like, there was no chance that I could drink enough water to bring me back to life. And so he said, okay, we'll call the nurses again. So I called the nurse, and I talked to her, and she was really nice. And she asked me questions like, is your mouth dry? Are your lips chapped? Like, you can't get up. And I said, no, I can't. Yes, my mouth is super dry. Yes, my lips are very chapped. I've been dehydrated before. I've passed out before. I know the feeling, and I don't know what to do. And she asked me if there was someone that could drive me to the emergency room. And I said that there wasn't. And even if there was, that I didn't want to infect anybody. And so she said, well, the only thing that you can do is to call transport. And so I did. So I called 911. I talked to what are they called? Dispatch.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was really nice. And I said, can you let them know that my door is locked? And so don't break the door down. And he said, okay, well, if you can, crawl to your door to unlock it, and I can stay on the phone with you just to make you feel, like, comfortable in case anything happens. Like, I'll be on the phone with you. Anyways, so I get to the door, I unlock it, and then I get back in my room, and I'm just laying in my bed. And eventually they come, and they start pounding on the door, and I'm trying to yell at them to tell them I'm in the room, and they keep screaming, where are you? Where are you? And I keep yelling with whatever I have in me, I'm in the room. So eventually they get in the room, and he sees me, and then he just starts yelling, unvaxxed, unvaxxed. And he said, cancel something. I don't know. I'm assuming, I think that it was the firefighters, and I think that they were canceling everyone else. And he looked at me and he said, do you have a mask? As I'm, like, laying dead in my bed. And I looked at him and I said, maybe somewhere in this house. And so then he walked out, and he grabbed a mask, and he threw it at me on the bed. And so I put it on, and he walks up to my bed, and he has his little thingies that they hook you up with the oxygen and they hook up your blood pressure. And he said, if all of your vitals are fine, there's nothing we can do for you. And it took about 2 minutes, and he said, yep, your oxygen is this, your blood pressure is this, there's nothing we can do. You have COVID and you're not vaccinated. And I said, that's not why I called. And he was like, what? I said, I didn't call because I have COVID. Like, I know that I have COVID, but I called because I felt dehydrated to the point that I can't get up. And he said, well, this is just what COVID is. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. And I kind of started crying. And I said, I live by myself. I'm not from here. I don't have anyone to help me. I can't get up. I feel super dehydrated. And I'm scared. And that's why I called. I called the nurse's line and they told me to call the ambulance. And he said, well, this is just like, there's nothing that we can do. He said, do you want to go to the emergency room? Because I can take you. Where do you want to go? What emergency room do you want to go to? And I said, I don't know. And I said, I'm torn. I feel like I don't want to go anymore. And he's like, depending on how dehydrated you are, I mean, I could try to put an IV in you and we could try to put a bag, like hook you up to a bag, or I can take you in the ambulance if you want. And I said, well, I don't want to be pushed to the side. And he said, well, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're not a priority patient. And so I just laid there and I just said, okay, well, I guess I don't want to go. And they kind of calmed down and I said, you came in very aggressive because I'm not vaccinated. And I said, I understand that I'm not vaccinated, but there's nothing I can do about that anymore. Like, we're past that. And then he said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come in aggressive. Is there anything that we can do for you in your house right now? So he gave me a couple of ibuprofen. He asked me if I wanted him to cook me something in my kitchen. And he went into my kitchen and brought me some grapes from my fridge and a granola bar. And then they filled up all my water bottles and they hooked up a couple of my fans. And what else did they do? Anyway, I had them working in here for a little bit. And he called me Chloe the whole time. So, like, I don't know where he was at, but, like, I was not the patient he thought I was or something. And then when he left, they walked out and they were like, oh, it was nice meeting you, Nikki. Maybe I can get my nails done one day. Anyways, so so that happened when I called the ambulance. Help me.
Yeah, so we ordered a portable air condition for Nikki, and it's going to be delivered, I think, Wednesday or Thursday. So I told her call 911 again, and hopefully those two pricks come and they can install the portable AC for her. um, Now I know a lot of you guys are thinking, what the hell? Your parents? Where were your parents? um, Patsy was. We had actually already set up the flight for Patsy was waiting for her flight to get to Oregon. Uh, it was just tough, but and we'll talk about once mommy got there, things turned around. But it was horrific that the way that she was treated. And again, I bring this up because it's the collateral damage of COVID. You're unvaccinated, you walk in, the medics come in, they treat you like crap. They treat you like crap because you're not vaccinated. Now, what the hell is the difference if you're vaccinated or not? If you have COVID or if you have the flu, if you have whatever, if you're sick and you got to call 911. So that was just one of the things that really, really drove me down. And that was I think the next day Patsy was already en route, and that's the day that Nikki did not answer her phone for hours. I had to call the police to go do a wellness check. What calling the police is like calling 911. They said, "Yeah, we'll send somebody when one's available." Well, thank God Nikki had mom is good at social media. Found some of Nikki's friends on her social media, messaged them, got phone numbers, and we were able to call. We had like three people heading to Nikki's house to go check. Patsy's on Oahu waiting to get on a flight to Oregon, and Patsy's on the plane texting me. We haven't gotten word about Nikki. Patsy's in the plane. The doors are closed. Patsy's telling me we're gonna leave in 5 minutes. I gotta know, and I said I don't want to tell you. And then, right a minute after that, I see my incoming call. Nickey Rapozo. I wanted to choke her neck, but
I was in a very great sleep.
I'll never forget that day that was the best call I've ever gotten in my life.
He said, "The police are coming to your house."
No, I didn't say. I said, "Hey, Nikki, I'll call you right back. I gotta call the police to cancel them." The police? Why did you call the police? Because you were not answering your damn phone.
I was asleep for 2 hours, 3 hours.
Well, let me say this, and this is something that I even teach my students when I teach them CPR. When you're going to go and help someone, you're actually finding out what the symptoms are. Okay, if a person's heart stops, you're trying to get that heart to start up again. Okay, if a person has COVID and a person's heart stopped, we're not treating COVID. Emergency responders don't treat COVID. We treat the symptoms that putting the person down. That's what's supposed to happen. So number one, they was wrong in a sense by yelling. Maybe that's a protocol they have that we're dealing with an unvaxxed person. Okay, so I'm sure that they've gone through this scenario many times before. But I think as the clock was ticking, they were kind of not looking at the symptoms that was being presented at the time, which is you probably was having a very, very hard time breathing, more or less. Because I know when I had double pneumonia, they told me the same thing, and you get hard time breathing. And so I ended up telling the hospital, take my bed out, bring me a recliner, because I don't want to lie down. It feels like I'm drowning. That's one. Number two, Auntie Steph brought me one of those thumpers, that massages your back. Well, the respiratory therapist said, because your chest is just so much, it's filled with so much fluid, the only way you're getting it out is you got to cough it out. But you're too weak to cough, right? But what you do, you thump your chest to loosen that phlegm, and then you spit it out that way because you can't do it on your own just by coughing. But I think the point I'm trying to get at is it sounds to me as if they were already predetermined that you had COVID. So my question to them was, okay, you're here, how are you going to treat COVID? They can't. They can't. They should be treating the symptom that's present. And so I think what I'm trying to tell all the viewers out there is if you have a loved one or if you should ever go through this unfortunate circumstance, just be very, very practical and tell them, I can't breathe. Let them treat you for that to make you a little bit more comfortable. I'm dehydrated. I can't breathe. I can't move. My joints are sore. Because if they keep on talking about COVID, COVID will entail so many things that they are not equipped to treat COVID. They stabilize you. They get you to the hospital. The hospital is where they treat the COVID. It's not at the scene. And any first responder will tell you that. If I treat you for a heart attack or a sudden cardiac arrest, I'm going to do my best, whether you have COVID or not, to try to resuscitate you. I may not breathe into you, but as long as I give you quality compressions and get that blood flowing, I know I'm going to get you back up and running until we can buy you some time because everything is within that golden hour. And I think that's the mistake that these medics did. Now, Nikki girl, this is your Uncle Charlie telling you the mistake you did is you need to take those nails off because an oximeter will not work properly with bad boys like that. Okay. I know it's good to fend yourself against attackers, but when you're in desperate need of information like an oximeter, You need to take those bad boys off,
I
okay?
know my
Or at least take one
Charlie,
of them.
my parents were they
Yeah.
were fucking
Charlie,
with me.
I'm on the phone on speaker. Patsy's right there, and she puts the thing on her finger. She tells me that the oxygen is at 80, 84, or whatever it was. I immediately panic, and I said, 80, that's not good. You got to call 911. She goes, well, maybe it's because of my nail. I said, cut the damn nail. But they're pretty. I don't give. I said, Nikki, what do you do for a living? I said, is that a real nail or is it a fake nail? Fake. Hey, you do nails? Cut that damn nail now. Well, she never did cut the nail, but she figured out a way to get the damn meter to check her finger with the nail on. That's the Portuguese side of her, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Just cut the damn nail.
He told me to call it my COVID nail.
Yeah. You're lucky
What
you're
do you do?
alive.
You put the meter on sideways. You
No,
put
I
it on
put
sideways,
it in, and then there's like a slip in the back, and so like I
and
had to
you
slip my
stick your
finger
nail.
more in,
Yeah.
and I kind of like move it around so that it would. You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, you know.
And, yeah, yeah, especially when it involves your nail. Who cares it's COVID? Yeah, who cares you might die? Just don't
Comments.
mess
Check
up
the
your nail.
comments. I'm sure there's a lot of women down there saying,
Yeah, the women,
"Oh
I saw
yeah,
one comment. The woman said, did you cut your nail? No, she didn't. She
I'm
didn't.
the nurse."
Anyway, now we can laugh about it,
Just,
but she,
just remember, if heaven forbid you go through this again, but if you do, the worst thing you can do is lie down. If you got like a recliner or something like that, you stay up. That's your best chance. Because lying down, all it's gonna do, that fluid has nowhere to go. It's just gonna build up, build up, build up in your chest. And that's good information when they say, build up enough steam because you're trying to loosen that mucus in your lungs, right? But if you get one of those massages and you just let that thing blast your chest, let me tell you, this guy on Kauai, his name is Andre Johnson. He's a respiratory therapist over at KVMH. If it wasn't for that guy, I wouldn't be here because I had double pneumonia on top of that. So, needless to say, the moment I put my head back, it felt like I was drowning. And I know that feeling. You talk about that pain in your bones. Yeah, it feels like somebody took a electric cord, just stuck them to your joints. Because every time you take a step, it's just so painful. And you wonder, if you got to go to the bathroom. In fact, a couple times I went to the restroom, and Auntie Steph had to come with me because I was literally running out of air sitting on the commode. It's not a pleasant feeling. And I think people got to realize that. So, folks out there, just remember, COVID gets you to the point that everything else kicks in, all for the wrong reason. So, if you call somebody who's medically trained, they should be treating you for those symptoms and not for COVID itself. But, there's something that needs to be addressed up there, hopefully. Hopefully.
I when she's telling me the story, no, she's still sick. The medics didn't do shit except check her blood pressure and and as much as I wanted to slice both of their throats, what
No,
did I tell you, Nikki? What did I tell you, Nikki? I said, Nikki, that's the problem with COVID. That's what they do. They go every day, every call have COVID people, unvaccinated, vaccinated. They deal with this every day. They see people die. I found myself defending those guys because I felt I can imagine there. We've been talking about this the last few nights, but that's my daughter. Golly, you should be treating everybody the same. And so I was very upset, but Nikki handled it well, and I'm proud of her. And and the best thing about all of this is that I knew that in a couple of hours Patsy was going to be arriving, and that at least we would have, as they say, boots on the ground. That Nikki would not have to be worried about passing out because mommy would be there. But then remember now, Nikki's still she's COVID. She's unvaccinated. She's shedding virus. So we had to. I made sure Patsy had every PPE known to man. Nikki took a picture of her, and I should have made it available. Darn it, I should have made it available for tonight. And I'll let Nikki tell the story about what mom's treatment was compared to the medics and compared to the doctors. But um, mom arrived that night. Nikki was already sleeping. What happens the next morning?
Well,
Nikki.
before she answers, Mel, can I ask your lovely daughter one simple question? Having gone through the experience, Nikki girl, would you get vaccinated now?
Wait. We're saving that for the end, Charlie. We're saving that for the end.
Okay.
Yeah,
I,
yeah. We're saving that for the end because I, I, we said, yeah. I hope. Actually,
yeah.
maybe we should ask him now so we can end the show if she has answered the wrong way.
Wait, we gotta give mom credit, then we can end the show.
Mom's an angel, and so what happens? You wake up in the morning.
She knocked on the door and peeped it open and went like this. And she had gloves, she had some gown, she had a mask, she had a shield. I should ask her to do it right now so
Yeah, yeah. Tell her go suit up for the camera.
Mom, suit up for the camera, please. And so yeah, so she said, knock, knock, knock. I'm here. And then I was like, and
Now remember,
so
you're sick, Nikki. You're still sick though. You are still
yeah.
flat.
So she came on day 9. So quarantine is 10 days now. It used to be 14. Now it's 10. In Oregon, the rule is that you can break your quarantine on the 11th day as long as you don't have a fever of 100.5 or more for 72 hours before. So she came on. Oh my God. Wait, hold on.
Yeah. Go ahead. There she is. There she is.
That's
No, go ahead. Show it some more. I like that people really see that.
well, she's almost done suiting up.
Oh, okay.
She's almost done. So they did, but basically we didn't come into any contact unless I didn't move from my bed. So she basically came up. Here she is, Nurse Patsy for the world.
No,
That's how she came.
no, no.
Yeah.
You got an angel just wrote.
She looked
It's your
like.
father.
Okay.
Look at your
I
father.
know. I know.
Nikki,
I just saw that.
your papa is 3 hours away, and he can come there and give you your shot. So not, he's just 3 hours away.
You know, Papa is my dad is a medic it was in a medic in the military. Actually, he got deployed during Desert Storm, and he can give shots. He can give
He can give
shots.
me my shot then.
Oh, Dad, stop driving! Stop driving!
If I So, anyways, I woke up and she told me that she had rice soup. And for all you Japanese people, you know rice soup. And so she basically like disinfected my whole house so that she could use the house. And stayed suited up like that for the last 2 days. And she just cooked for me, got me vitamins, got me water. Every like 5 minutes, she's like, sip, sip, telling me to drink water. But when Patsy showed up in Oregon, my fever broke. So I guess all I needed was my mama. And then I was like, had like my temperature was like 96, and my dad was like, I think you're too cold. So, but yeah, that happened.
Yeah, we had that discussion of somebody got to go, and obviously, as much as I wanted to be up there, she needed mommy more than she needed daddy. I wouldn't know how the hell to cook Japanese rice soup and any of that, but so awesome. So now for some reason, the miracle happens from the chicken soup. Mom called me up and said she ate some soup, and then I think she made, what did she make for lunch?
Fried rice.
Fried rice. She ate a little bit of fried
Oh, I
rice, and
couldn't
then
taste. I
yeah,
forgot
oh
that
yeah,
whole thing. I couldn't taste
yeah,
or smell anything.
and then I'm gonna fast forward because I want to get to Uncle Charlie's question because I think everybody's waiting for that question. Um, Mom, by the way, got tested today. I told mom, you get tested that 4 days after because we want to make sure mom is okay. We didn't worry much about Nikki already. She already had the COVID. We wanted to make sure mom went got tested today, and it, thank the Lord, negative. So all of that space suits and the masks and the shields and all of that stuff works. I mean, you guys didn't come in close contact, but nonetheless.
But we used the
So
same bathroom,
yeah, so poor
and yeah,
mom. Maybe
so she had to every morning. Luckily, I wasn't using the bathroom that much, so she only had to clean it like once or twice a day. But every morning, she had to go and scrub this whole shower from top to bottom. Anytime she used the bathroom, she had to disinfect the whole toilet, the door handles, literally anything.
yeah.
And but it worked because she tested negative today.
Let me share with you, Mel,
Mhm.
just so the people out there, you just got to remind yourself if someone is infected, if you're going to disinfect the home, just remember these numbers. Okay. The SARS-CoV-2 remains active on plastics and stainless steel surfaces for up to 3 days. Under certain conditions, it remains infectious for up to 24 hours on cardboard and 4 hours on copper. They stay up to 3 hours in aerosols, depending on the conditions. So I think what I'm saying is, when schools disinfect because kids not test positive, but they have a positive case at the schools, we have to take all precautions because you know how people like to touch, right? But like Mayor Harry Kim said, with regards to this particular variant, it's highly contagious because of its airborne transmission. So all of you out there, you just got to be careful. And, Nikki, I'm glad you're doing much better. But, it's a scary thought when you're by yourself. I think you now have firsthand knowledge of how susceptible you can be if you're by yourself and you don't have everything lined up. So, my suggestion would be it's not, um, Mel, I would put up one of those wireless Wi Fi that you can monitor your daughter, even from Hawaii. Okay. You just put it in parts of the house that, you can just keep track of her. And, again, if something should happen, she cannot call for help. She's down for some reason. And heaven forbid that that should happen. But then at least you have the ability to see where she's at. And, like they have those services where you can just press a little button for help. It's not that expensive. I think, again, Nikki, this is a first hand experience you've gone through, hoping that you never go through it again. But I believe everything is because of what you went through. I think you know what dangers to stay away from right now, especially with this thing running wild until everything starts to die down. Everything
Yeah.
starts to die down.
Well, I now I'm gonna be the father, and I'm gonna say, Nikki, a couple of things that I took notes that you got to wear a mask, and we'll Uncle Charlie gonna ask his questions right after this, but you got to wear your masks. You go out into bars and clubs. The number one thing is get vaccinated. Obviously, you wear your mask. Don't go anywhere without a mask. And one of the things that you did that I know you regret because we had this discussion is you went to work when you had some symptoms and you possibly infected a lot of people. That is what's happening today. It's not uncommon because people think, this damn Delta. The symptoms aren't like the first virus where you got the fever and now you get sniffles. You just get mild catch cold symptoms with this Delta. So, guys, if you guys are sick, even mildly sick, stay home. So those are just kind of the things that, as I go back and I do a, like a critique of the event, or a crisis critique or whatever, things that could have done. So now the $1 million question. Everybody's asking the main $1 million question. Charlie, what was that question?
The $1 million question is, having gone through this, would you consider, or are you willing to get the vaccine now, just as an added protection? Because it's not going to prevent you from catching it, but it's sure going to minimize your symptoms. And that, if you had gotten vaccinated, you probably, you would have contracted the virus, but you wouldn't have gotten that serious of the symptoms. So that's the question.
All
Are
right,
you,
I'm ready for my answer.
You see my face.
Okay. Wait, let me preface the whole thing before I give my answer of how I feel about the whole situation and the vaccine, and before, after, whatever. So, I respect everyone's decision whether they want to get the vaccine or not. I'm speaking from me, my personal experiences, and what I would do differently, or what I'm going to do in the future. So, the vaccine has turned into this big thing that has turned into a lot of division between people because whatever. Just like the EMTs thought I was like the worst person in the world because I wasn't vaccinated. People feel the same way. As I had to let people know that I had exposed them, or as I had to let many of my clients know that I wasn't vaccinated and I had COVID, I got all kinds of responses of whatever. I thought you were, you're not, this, that, XYZ. And I think, whew, wait, I can't. I think I'm talking too fast that I can't breathe. It's
Take
another
your
thing
time.
with COVID is that you can't breathe to talk. And I like to talk. So, the way that I feel about it is that yes, because I see a lot of people posting that, well, why am I going to get the vaccine if I can still get COVID? Or if I can still give COVID? Or there's a lot of people that are still getting COVID because they're vaccinated. So what's the point? Which, that's how I felt before I got COVID. I think we forgot this part of the whole thing of how I felt before I got COVID and why I didn't get vaccinated and why I didn't want to get vaccinated. A lot of it was because I just was like, I'm young. If I get it, I'll just get it. I've been out and about and I haven't gotten it, so I probably am fine. I think I got it like a year or two ago, but they didn't have tests, so they wouldn't test me. And so that's kind of how I thought about it. I saw a lot of the stuff that, like, all the posts about it can do this and it can do that and you're gonna die and whatever. And then there was the lottery thing. Oregon had a $1 million lottery that you got put into if you got the vaccine. And then after that, they started paying people $50, $100 for a vaccine, whether you got one, whether you got two, it didn't matter. Like, and all of that just turned me off, and I just didn't want to do it because I was scared. I thought that it was a flu. I thought that it was just like a sickness, cute little thing. I didn't want to get sick from getting the vaccine because I have a job that is a one-man show and I didn't want to miss out on work for a day or whatever in case I had gotten a reaction. And so that's my backstory on why I didn't want to get vaccinated, why I wasn't vaccinated, whatever. And then eventually I was like, okay, maybe I'll just go get it. I want to travel. I want to do this, whatever. This is obviously what I'm going to have to do. And everyone 90% of the people that I knew, 90% of my clients, everyone that I talked to has been like, they've all been vaccinated. And so I was like, okay, fine. Which I was going to actually get kind of maybe, if it ended up happening, get vaccinated the day that I actually tested positive for COVID or the day after. But anyways, backstory on that was why I didn't want to get vaccinated. And so the way that I feel about the vaccine in itself is, obviously you could still get COVID, you could still contract it, you can still give it, vaccinated or not vaccinated. And so I think that what the issue that people, or what people don't understand about that is, if you're not vaccinated and you get COVID, that is like something that I refuse to feel ever again in my entire life. That was the worst thing that I had ever experienced in my life. And if y'all know my health history, I've been through it. I've had 5 or 6 surgeries. I've had my head stapled shut. I have brain trauma. I have heart issues. I have issues all over the place. And I've been hospitalized numerous times for numerous different things. And that was by far the worst that I have ever felt in my entire life, to the point that I actually thought I was going to die. And the other thing is that that moment that the EMTs had to come, the reason why they get frustrated, which it's not right to treat people like that, but when I actually go back to think about it, it's frustrating for them to pick up someone who's unvaccinated, because it could obviously have been something that the situation was different. Because our hospitals here are at 93%, I believe. And I think the ICU beds are at 90. And I'm in Oregon, so it's obviously big. But I would have took a bed in the hospital, because I wasn't vaccinated, that could have been used for someone who, your grandma who is sick or something. And I think that that's what people don't really think about, is sometimes it's not necessarily the actual vaccination and the vaccine, it's what is happening. Because if I was vaccinated, I probably wouldn't have been in the situation that I needed to call the ambulance. I would have been sick and whatever, but like I probably wouldn't have been as bad, to the point that I would have needed to call an ambulance. I actually had to go to the emergency room a month ago, or 2 months ago, that had an incident that I had to be taken by ambulance. And this is not COVID related, not sickness related. This is a freak accident where I needed to be taken by ambulance. And I was in a hallway, because the hospitals, they couldn't take me to the first hospital because it was full. And then they brought me to the second hospital, and I was in a hallway. And that's basically the situation of all hospitals right now, because they're getting flooded with COVID patients. Which is obviously, I mean, you can't do anything about it. That's just the reality of it. But if I was vaccinated, then I probably wouldn't have been as sick, or even for as long as I was sick, because I was pretty much down up until day 10. Like, they say that you'll take a turn at day 4 or day 5, but I was actually down until day 10. I walked for the first time on day 10, I believe. Um, and as you can tell, I'm talking and I still am very much out of breath just from talking. Um, I like walked around the store today and I was like exhausted. So, anyways, that's my little spiel.
Answer the question.
Oh yeah, wait, I was getting there. So, would I have, if I knew then what I know now, would I have gotten vaccinated? Yes. If I knew that that was what was going to happen and that is what it felt like and that I was going to be near death, I would have totally 100% gotten vaccinated. I talked to my doctor because you used to have to wait after you get COVID. You can test positive for up to 3 months after. So you used to have to wait to get the vaccine um, after you got COVID based off of like how your lungs are and all of that stuff. You don't have to wait anymore. So I could go get vaccinated tomorrow if I wanted to. I have to go back to work, so I can't get vaccinated tomorrow. But I think like next week or whatever, when I have a day off, I'm gonna go get vaccinated
Okay.
so that I don't.
Well, somebody asked the question, and it's a great segue what you just said, because somebody asked the question, why does she have to get the vaccine if she already got COVID? The natural infection, the natural immunity that she just got is number one. It's limited. It's not as high as the vaccine, and it's temporary. It's not. It's only there. As from what we're told by our guests, it doesn't stay there long. So when you combine the natural infection with the um, vaccine, you boost your immunity quite a bit. So, yeah, I know people asking work. What are you going to work? I can only suggest that you stay home. But
I am a business owner, and
yeah,
that's just what business owners do. You got to go back to work.
she is not contagious. She did get clearance from the doctor yesterday. She is no longer contagious. So, uh, my only suggestion is you pace it. If you feel tired,
Yeah.
done. I'm
My
not going
job
to force you.
obviously consists of me sitting down and doing people's nails. So I obviously I'm just gonna go based off of how I feel. I don't know. These last couple days I've been trying to do things so that I'm trying to rebuild my lungs because my lungs are not working at full whatever right now. So I'm trying to build that, rebuild that, and just kind of take it day by day and see what happens. But obviously, if it's too much, then I'm gonna have to take more time off from work. So that's just kind of what it is. But I'm obviously wearing a mask all the time. Even when I'm driving, me and my mom still wear masks in the car, even though she's cleared and I'm cleared. We still wear masks. So whenever I go outside, I still wear a mask. And COVID
Well,
PTSD is real.
let me say this. Let me just share one thing. I know you said something that struck me, and you're absolutely correct. There's this divide. I think people share their stories in hopes that no one goes through what you went through, and then there's always going to be those that says that you don't need to get vaccinated. So it's hard to feel sorry if someone gets it and feels the pain, and they start to cry, and they start to just gets worse. And so I say this with all sincerity because When I went through my open heart surgery, I could have elected to have the stent, but I said no, crack my chest open and replace my pipes, because I knew, because there have been cases where you have a stent, it only lasts for so many years, right? I says no, I want the real deal. Cut me open and just replace my pipes, and that's how it was. And so it's with people that say, I don't want to learn how to swim, but I like the water. Well, something's going to happen if you jump in a deep end and you cannot swim. There's no place else but to go under and down. And I think that's why we tell people learn how to swim. So is with this, and all I'm saying is, Nikki, you have shared a story with everyone of what you went through, and I hope and pray people understand what you went through. It's not a pleasant thing, because what you're talking about is basically 10 days, and you see people get upset because they say, "Oh, they say 4 days, you're gonna be over it." You know, not everybody the same. 10 days. Some people may even take longer. Who knows? The only person that knows how long it's going to take is the person who went through it, that can tell the story. So your story is you went through it for 10 days. That goes down in the history books. Nickey Rapozo had COVID and suffered for 10 days. The next person might suffer for a month. We don't know until the story is told. But I think just sharing it, people get a better understanding. Because, like you said, there's so many conflicting sides of this issue, it obscures the whole point. And it's no different from those medics passing judgment on you as soon as they came in the door and says unvax, right? They didn't even bother to look at your symptoms. It's the same thing. The same thing.
Well, I like I told you, Nikki. I don't know how long ago already, but I told you that God acts and He does things for reasons we don't understand. But we know one thing, that He's going to use you as a messenger. And we talked about this, right? Remember we thought we had this discussion. I don't know if you remember because you was kind of out of it, but now you got to share your story. You know what you said tonight, and I'm so proud of you because what you said tonight, you admitted basically being reckless, right? You went into a club unvaccinated without a mask. You went to her, and you are willing to come forward and share your story. And I'm hoping that we have a lot of people listening that can really connect with that, because the ones that cannot connect with me and Uncle Charlie and any of our guests, hopefully they connect with you. I don't want any parent to go through what we went through. I don't want any child to go through what my child went through. Never. So I just want to say thank you, sweetie, for being brave. The other thing we forgot to mention, while this was going on in Oregon, there was a heat wave. So not only was she sick and miserable and getting out there and breathe, and she had to deal with 100+ degree and no more AC in her place. So I just from me to you, and I'm gonna stop there before I start bawling like a baby. But Nikki, what's your final thoughts or your final words to the people that are watching?
Was that not my final thoughts? I got okay.
No, just and you can start again by thanking all of these lovely people that are sending prayers and loves and hearts and everything on
I know I
this.
can't see any of it.
Yeah, you
So,
can watch it. You can watch it later on the replay.
but my final thoughts are
You can start by saying thank you to all the people that had
thank you to everyone sending hearts and whatever.
and prayed for you and prayed
Oh,
for
I
you.
did say that earlier, but thank you for everyone that prayed for me and everyone that sent me messages. Like I got everyone's messages, but like my everything is a little flooded everywhere. My phone's been crazy the last couple weeks, and so I haven't been able to get back to everyone. That made me sound like a celebrity, but it's not that much. It's but yeah, thank you to everyone who's like some people left food at my door. I also will say though, off subject, but Oregon, if anyone in any state or in Hawaii if the big dogs in Hawaii are watching this, or they eventually see this, because they might, we might go viral. Oregon Department of Health and Oregon Asian community, because that's the only ones who helped me, was A1. So the Department of Health called me like 2 days after I tested positive, and he told me that he was going to refer me to get assistance if I needed it, if I wanted it, whatever. And that it could take 3 to 5 days because they were pretty backed up. And in like maybe an hour, the Asian community and health services or something like that called me. I was able to make a grocery list of 10 items, and it was enough that could last me a week. So I could pick 10 items from the grocery store. They brought it to me that day at my doorstep. And they assist, or are going to assist me in paying my rent, because I was out of work for 2 weeks. And actually, the guy just called me like 3 days ago and was like, "I'm so sorry, I haven't reached back to you and check on you. How are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, I'm almost out of quarantine. My mom's here. It's all good." And he was like, "Do you need more food?" So actually, I don't know, I didn't tell you that, but they called back again to basically give me a second round for another week's worth of groceries if I needed it. So big dogs in Hawaii, because I know that's probably not really a thing. I don't think that it's a thing anywhere. But we have a COVID package that the governor here, I guess, has, I don't know, budgeted for and gave money to or something, so that if you have COVID, you get assistance on groceries, rent, utilities, any bills that you have. And I wasn't gonna do it, but then
No, you do it.
I'm self-employed, so like I kind of like needed it. I didn't have a job that was gonna pay me for being out of work, but
And they called you. You didn't have to fill out.
no, I didn't
Uh,
have to do anything. I
you
told them
see,
what I wanted to eat, and they brought it to my door.
and
You
you're
know,
They
and they
told me I
pay and
couldn't
they
have fruit roll-ups though, so I was
and
kind of
they and they paid your rent for 1 month.
and they're paying my rent for 1 month, no hesitation. They're sending the check directly to my property management. They talk to my property management directly. Like, I don't have to do anything except live here and eat the food. That's, so, and it's not like I got, if anyone's familiar with Fred Meyer, like it was like groceries from Fred Meyer. So it wasn't like, oh, they're gonna give you some old canned goods that people donated or whatever. Like it was like fresh food, whatever you wanted. They said I couldn't ask for steak, and I couldn't ask for Jello or fruit roll up because it was unhealthy. But I could have anything else, as long as it was healthy. 10 items. So add that in. I don't know, but it's an interesting fact. Okay, but anyways, I guess my final, what was my final word? Say my final, whatever, is that I said a lot.
Charlie, I know you were about ready to say something before she.
no. I think I think tonight's episode, or what we brought, is what you brought. It came in late. Uh, it's really personal preference. But all I can say is this: you get bit by this thing. That's why I've always said it from day one. If you want to slow down traffic in your neighborhood, signs saying slow down won't do the job. You got to put up speed bumps. That's going to do the job. The state of Hawaii, I think, they say that, wow, Hawaii is like back in a prehistoric times. Yeah, we are. I mean, when we have an administration that doesn't want to do anything, but just monitor. And I know tonight's show is not about that, but I'm still caught up in that we're still in this monitoring phase, and everybody's blaming everybody. Everybody is like worried. We got to do this, we got to do that. It wouldn't have gotten this bad if we just did what we did when our numbers were lower. But to have our guest on tonight and experience what she experienced, it only validates one thing, and that is, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you get tagged by this thing, you think you can outrun it, then hey, fine, do whatever you want to do. I think Nikki Girl explained to all of you she wasn't able to outrun it. So she had to take the slow boat to recovery. And it wasn't an easy one. Okay, it wasn't an easy one. Some people just may not be so fortunate, especially if you have other underlying conditions, morbidities. Okay? So people, we just gotta start using our head a little bit more. It's okay to fight the fight, go down that path because of our convictions, what we believe in. But at the same token, I think you want to be around for many more years to see your children, especially see your daughter walking down that aisle, seeing your son getting married, seeing grandchildren. I think you want to be around. You don't have to let this virus ruin your life. So thank you very much, Nikki girl.
Thank you, Charlie. Now, dad is going to be dad because I just saw a comment about stories that push the vaccine is just pushing fear. I'm not going to mention name. You know who you are. Listen, my daughter never come on here for push the vaccine. She never come on here for push the fear.
I
She
wish I
came
could
on.
see these comments.
No, no, they're all good except one guy is trying to. And I understand his point,
What
but that
was the
wasn't the
comment?
purpose.
Because I can.
Just that pushing stories like this to push for the vaccine is pushing fear, and it's that the vaccine is not necessary to boost your immunity. Let me just say this before you jump in, Nikki. That was not the purpose of this session tonight. The purpose of this session was so my daughter could share her story, and she said from the onset, and she was not coached. She said from the onset that it's a matter of personal choice. All she said was that if she knew what she knows today, back then she would have gotten vaccinated. Now, that's she's not pushing fear, and uh, just I just wanted to set that straight. That was not the reason to bring my daughter and expose my daughter on our show uh, for people to take shots at my daughter. That ain't gonna go. But anyway, that's
But you
just a
can
dad
take
being a dad.
shots because I'm ready for it.
Yeah,
But
sweetie. The only thing too is that you may feel good right now, but COVID is you're
and I
still
don't feel good.
recovering. You're
Yeah,
still recovering. You're still
I
out
can
of breath.
still
So,
not really walk. I mean, I can walk, but
but anyway, I'm just my point is that you take care of yourself, and
I'm just gonna say to Sir that it's more of a risk for me to be on this show to speak my truth than it is for me to just have stayed quiet. So if I'm just trying to like shoot fear in people, like I have a lot of family and friends that are against the vaccine or don't want to get the vaccine. I just came on here so that I could talk about what happened to me. And if you got scared, then you got scared. That's not me. I'm not telling people to get scared. I'm just saying this will happen to me and take it for what it is. If it pushes you to go one way or the other, then it does that. I'm just speaking my truth and what happened to me because my experience, I wouldn't want anyone else to experience it. And I tell all of my friends and my family who have called me throughout this time, I tell everyone you can call me. I'll give you my symptoms. I'll let you know how it went. I'll tell you the good. I'll tell you the bad. Would I get vaccinated? Yes, because I would never want to feel like this again. But if you want to take the risk, then take the risk. If you feel like you're healthy, if you feel like you don't need the vaccine, then that is completely up to you. To each their own. And It's not a game of who can pull who onto what side, or who can make who do this or do that, because this isn't a game. It's not a competition on who can win more wins. This is simply just people speaking off of what has happened to them and looking out for other people so that it doesn't happen to anyone else, because I would never want this to happen to anyone else. Old, young, girl, boy, like it don't matter. This sucks. I don't ever want to experience it again. And I don't want anyone to experience it. But like I said, to each their own. I know people who got COVID and were asymptomatic, so obviously they're not gonna they don't think that it's as severe as I do. I know people who it's been a year and they still don't have their taste and smell. It's a wide variety. Every single person is different. Every single person's body reacts differently. Like, so anyways, I'm sorry for, but
You just like your mom.
but I mean, no one's gonna come at me and try to say that I'm trying to force anything on people or do any of that, because that's exact that this is gonna probably have more backlash for me than I could have just stayed quiet and nobody needed to know anything. But I care more about people than just letting it go and not saying anything. And
All
so
right. I guess I should have never brought up that guy's comment. Oh well.
I don't care.
Life goes on. I know you don't care. Sweetie, I love you. I'm proud of you. I worry about you. I'll be up there in a few days to wear my space suit and eat some of mom's cooking pretty soon in a few days.
Yep. If anyone has any questions, you can reach out to your girl.
All right. You guys all stay safe, you guys. Charlie, any closing comments, my friend? Thank you all, guys. We love you all. We'll see you guys Monday night. You guys all take care. God bless. Again, share this with your friends who may have kids or grandkids. Hopefully they can connect. All right, guys. You guys take care. God bless. Aloha.